Thank you. Great birthday present for you.
And what is your name?
My name is Don Downey.
Don?
Yes, Don, D-O-W-N-E-Y. Yes, Don, D-O-N.
And your wife?
Is Denise. Yes.
You bring her with you?
Yes.
Oh, how you doing, Denise?
Hi.
Here you go, son.
Thank you. And what I would like to do, please, if you'd allow me to, is I would like to videotape you and just hear your story, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
You got an hour?
Yes, sir.
No, okay. I was the 21-year-old sailor on December 7, 1941. I was stationed at the section base Bishop's Point, which is located at the mouth or the entrance to Pearl Harbor. I had the 48 watch that morning, and when I relieved the watch, I was told that one of our destroyers, the USS Ward, was dropping depth charges, or had dropped depth charges on an unidentified submarine, which turned out to be a two-man Japanese sub, which incidentally is still located about 1 mile outside of the harbor today, and it's up to the Japanese if they want to pick it up. Anyway, at 7:45, I got relieved from my watch. I went to have breakfast. I just sat my tray down when the general alarm sounded, and we all ran out to the armory. They gave us 30 caliber rifles or 45 pistols when they ran out, and that's all we had to shoot at the planes with. 1941, however, the planes were slower than they are today, and they were flying low enough where you could see the pilots' faces. We had 30 caliber rifles, like I said, and you know, with 30 caliber rifle, you cock your pistol, you shoot one shot, and you got to cock it again. By the time you cock your pistol, you had to wait for the next plane to come around. I think I only shot about 10 times. When the officers came aboard, everybody was called back to active duty that morning, and one of the officers took my rifle away and told me to get down to the warehouse to open the warehouse open. You know, and about half an hour after they came aboard, everything stopped. It only lasted for 2 hours, and it was all over, just like that. It became so quiet, it was scary. But you know, you could still see the smoke and all of that coming from the ships in Pearl Harbor. The most I saw was, being at Hickam Air Force Base, was B-20, B-17s coming in that day from California. And the Japanese planes came right behind them and shot, I think they shot about 2 or 3 of them down, and the rest of the B-17s found airfields in Hawaii, in other landing strips. 6 months later, they put me aboard a battleship, the USS Washington BB-56, and I spent almost 2 years in the Pacific and saw much more action in Pearl Harbor. Before the war ended, they sent me to what they call new construction. And I landed up in the Brooklyn Naval Shipyard, and instead of getting new construction, they sent me to a material redistribution area at 90 Church Street in downtown Manhattan. And I was stationed with a group of girls, about 26 girls. The oldest was about 24 years old. I was 25 years old, so you can imagine the fun I had. I didn't want the war to stop. But on the day the war ended, I had taken my boss up to a meeting in Times Square. When he got out of the meeting, we couldn't move the car because Times Square was so full of people. And we realized that the war had ended. So he said, well, you spend the night here, Chief. You can pick up the car in the morning. So I had a good time that night. About 2 months later, I came back to Hawaii and rejoined the Navy and stayed in for 24 years. After my 24 years, I retired. I worked for the General Service Administration for 30 years. So I've got 54 years of government service. And I hope my pension still comes in all the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and God bless. Thank you. Super.
Give me something to drink.
That's a great story, Mr. Rodriguez. Well, super. Mr. Kinsler, would you like to tell your story?
I don't have one.
Hey, buddy.
Yes.
No, actually, I was in the Army and the Army was not a target that day, so we had to get out of Schofield, which was adjacent to Wheeler Field, which was the target, and we headed for our particular battle station, which was the football stadium at Roosevelt High School.
There were 600.
I stayed there until I was sent to the University of Hawaii to study radar, and after that I was sent to the Phoenix Islands, which was about 600 miles from due east of the Japanese elephant Marshall Islands. So we were paid periodic bombing raids from the Japanese until I was sent back to New Jersey to go to OCS.
And your husband?
Stayed in the Army for 22 years and retired in 1962. I did not spend time in government service, but I got a job that lasted 30 years with the sugar industry here in Hawaii. So I've been in Hawaii a total of 58 years to date. That's my story. Not as exciting as his. He was a battleship sailor, and I was not a sailor at all.
Well, sure. Well, no, but thank you for your service and thank you for coming out today.
You're welcome. Thank you for